The peak of the fighting in Bangui lasted only for a couple of days. In terms of humanitarian consequences, this is among the worst I've seen in the 11 years I work for ICRC. We have to remember that the people here did not have much to begin with. We're talking of one of the poorest countries in the world. If you add conflict, looting, and displacement to the long-existing poverty and underdevelopment, you end up with a population in despair. Some of these people are now in their 5th month of displacement, which means that for the past 5 months, they've been drinking water of very questionable quality, they have been eating whatever they can find, they've probably not seen a doctor or a nurse, and their children have not been to school. In Bangui, hospitals are now almost back to their capacity before the 24th of March, so we can say that the most urgent medical needs in Bangui are taken care of. I'm afraid, though, that we cannot say the same about the rural areas. Many people who have fled in the bush have practically no access to healthcare, and this for several months now, as many health centers have been looted and their personnel has fled to Bangui or to other places. I would say that the most urgent need is to improve security throughout the country. Humanitarian organizations have been playing a very important role because the state is often unable to provide services to a large part of the population. These very same humanitarian organizations, which have helped the local population for many years, cannot work because of the insecurity. Unfortunately, the international community does not seem to have the Central African Republic very high on its agenda. But I feel that more should be done for this country in terms of making more funds available for humanitarian organizations. Humanitarian programs in the area of health, water supply, food security, for example, are of a life-saving nature, and no effort should be spared to secure funding, at least for this kind of operations.
L'association coopérative Quado de Saint-Fra est composée de 300 membres. Elle s'est spécialisée dans le vivrier et particulièrement le riz. La coopérative dispose de 1000 hectares de bas-fonds. L'objectif de cette coopérative est l'exploitation de 300 hectares pour la production du riz de bas-fonds afin de contribuer à la mise en œuvre de la politique du gouvernement qui vise à assurer la sécurité alimentaire et d'autre part à amener les femmes à se prendre en charge financièrement.
On ne veut pas rester bras ballants, assise et puis regarder le mari, lui seul. Donc, on a créé pour qu'on puisse aider nos parents, nos maris, nos enfants, pour qu'ils aillent à l'école pour arriver demain comme les autres sont. On demande à l'État, le président de la République, de nous aider financièrement, matériellement, pour qu'on puisse aller de l'avant.
La présidente souhaite notamment l'acquisition de tracteurs, de motoculteurs, de batteuses, des semences de qualité, d'intrants. Malgré les difficultés, la coopérative Quado a produit cette année 20 tonnes de riz. Elle s'engage à produire en quantité et en qualité l'année prochaine si les moyens lui sont donnés.
Lean back and swallow the key to your heart. You're hiding in your shallow skin, and you're never gonna let me in. You've had a parachute on from the start. I know you wanna break your fall, but are you feeling anything at all? Everybody feels alone. Everybody's on their own. I wanna see the stars collide. I wanna see the burning sky inside you. smile on your face, but you're bleeding from the inside out, and you'll never say what it's about. But I know, yeah I know, yeah I know that it's a lie that you never told me. I guess you sold me all the same. Everybody feels alone. Everybody's on their own. I wanna see the stars collide. I wanna see the burning sky inside you. And I wanna go blind. And I want you to blind me. Just give me a sign. Don't go and tell me I don't wanna know.
ملک سردار محمد دی چې د ولایت روزګان څخه رامهاجر شوی یم و دغه کمپ ریګریشن ته راغلی یم. 119 کورنۍ موږ په دغه کمپ ریګریشن کې د کمپنۍ در پوره لار لاندې دلته موږ سکونت کوو چې ستونزې مو ډېر په خرابو باندې دي. د کورو نسونه چې وګورې دغه شان دي خټې دي لکه دغه اوبو ته چې ګورې یا دغه خټو ته ګورې د کورو نسونه مو په دغه رقم نو کش کړی دي خټې لري. دیوالونه مو ولې نه دي دا قدر کې دیوالونه مو ولې دي چې ماسې هغه اوبه وګرځي راسي چې قدرت مو نه درلود اوبه نه وه.
In 2 weeks, I can say we saw around more than 600 patients. Usually we see a lot of upper and lower respiratory diseases, a lot of pneumonia, and then common cold, diarrhea, and others. The number of camps keeps on increasing. Today we have more than 50 camps around Kabul. MSF is working in 6 camps. We did an emergency intervention for the harsh season of winter because these people during this season are very isolated and don't have good access to health care.
یلمن د روزګان سره غلي د جنگو سره غلي د بمبارۍ سره غلي د چاپو سره غلي د مټکې سره غلي دا میاشت مې شپږمه ده چې راغلي دا رانوې مې اومه ده دا مشکلات لرو په دا کیم کې چې ګرده مو وږي تږي وو ګرده نه د ډوډۍ وس لرو نه د اور وس لرو نه د بل شي وس لرو ماشومان مو د یتیمان دي راباندې ژاړي بغارې چغارې وي دا مټکه ماشومان به ناجوړي دي ډوډۍ غواړي نه پښې پټېږي نه لا سر یې پټېږي پوه شي په نه څه کېږي
Un jour, le Sud-Soudan fait les gros titres des journaux. On en parle, donc ça existe. Les réfugiés, la guerre civile et l'indépendance. Et puis un jour, les journaux n'en parlent plus. Et c'est comme si le Sud-Soudan n'existait plus. Et pourtant, tout un peuple construit un nouveau pays. Ne les laissons pas perdre espoir. Ils ont besoin de nous. Ils ont besoin de vous. Caritas International.
Speaking of which area of the world, though, might survive, there was another thing that we uncovered in the Oracle this week on BBC World, which was that Dubai went bankrupt. Now, I don't know if you recall, but back in, I think it was December or November, the ruler of Dubai denied the rumors that they were on the verge of bankruptcy.
Yes.
And then, of course, the media never followed up with it. But our source, well, the sources of Paul Walker, as he said on the Oracle this week, were that it did go bankrupt and that Abu Dhabi bailed it out. They bailed out the giant the property developer owned by the Sheikh for Dubai, but also Emirates Airline went bust. So I guess it's now effectively owned by Abu Dhabi.
But all under the radar.
All under the radar.
Mm-hmm.
I guess because they didn't want to cause a panic. I don't know, like people like trying to sell their properties quickly. All these British property speculators.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's all very hush hush. done behind the scenes. It's a kingdom, so they don't need to have much public disclosure, do they?
No.
Even less than in the U.S. Even less than banks in the U.S. Did they have a disclosure requirement?
In the long, long ago, people bartered. They traded things they had for things they wanted. I'll trade you my raspberries for that there pot pie.
I don't want your berries.
Come on. Wow, those sweet berries.
They're not sweet. They're old, and I don't like berries.
Give me that pot pie!
No.
As you can see, this bartering situation created some problems. Then, one day, a goldsmith walked up and said,
Now, everybody thinks gold is valuable, so why doesn't everybody trade gold for things they need?
A price was set for gold, and now it was very easy to conduct commerce because people could trade gold for all the things they needed.
Hartman! Wow, look at all my gold! Hey, stop them! That's my gold!
Damn thieves!
Say there, Pile. I've got a vault and some guards. I can keep your gold safe for you for a small fee. Yeah, sure, that'd be awesome.
You see, Pile, this is how the first bank made money.
There you go, Pile. I owe you 100 gold coins. Okay, great. Come back anytime and redeem your gold when you want it. It'll be right here. in my vault.
Now you're holding the very first paper money pile.
Wow, this is great. It all makes sense.
La question évoque généralement l'image de la fabrication des billets ou des pièces. En effet, on croit souvent que c'est le gouvernement qui crée l'argent. C'est vrai, mais seulement en partie. Ces symboles en papier et en métal que nous appelons l'argent sont en fait fabriqués par une agence fédérale, la monnaie. Mais la plus grosse quantité d'argent en circulation n'est pas fabriquée par la monnaie. Tous les jours, des montants colossaux d'argent sont créés par des entreprises privées, par les banques. On croit souvent que les banques prêtent l'argent que les déposants leur ont confié. Mais pas du tout. En fait, les banques créent l'argent qu'elles prêtent, pas à partir de leurs bénéfices, ni à partir de l'argent déposé, mais directement à partir des promesses de remboursement faites par les emprunteurs. La signature d'un emprunteur l'engage à payer le montant de son emprunt plus des intérêts. Sinon, il perd la maison, la voiture ou tout autre bien qu'il a acheté. C'est une très lourde obligation pour l'emprunteur. En contrepartie, que fait la banque? Elle crée le prêt par un tour de passe-passe. Elle l'inscrit au compte de l'emprunteur.
Le diamant brut d'origine ivoirienne est désormais une marchandise légale sur le marché international. Il peut donc être importé par tout État le désirant. L'embargo qui frappait la Côte d'Ivoire depuis 2005 vient d'être levé ce mardi par le Conseil de sécurité de l'ONU. Une résolution a été adoptée à cet effet à l'unanimité des 15 pays membres. La Côte d'Ivoire savoure ainsi une autre retombée du climat de paix et de relance économique. Pour l'Organisation des Nations Unies, c'est le résultat des progrès accomplis dans la mise en œuvre du système de certification du processus de Kimberley et dans la gouvernance de ce secteur. Le processus de Kimberley, créé en 2000, est un régime international de certification. Il permet de tracer la commercialisation des pierres précieuses de sorte à éviter qu'elles ne servent à financer des conflits et autres crimes. Les statistiques de l'Union européenne tablent sur une production annuelle de diamants ivoiriens de l'ordre de 50 000 à 300 000 carats, soit de 10 à 60 kg, et les exploitations artisanales occupent entre 200 000 et 300 000 personnes. Autre nouvelle liée au climat de paix, l'assouplissement de l'embargo sur les armes, qui date de 10 ans. Depuis ce mardi 29 avril, la Côte d'Ivoire peut importer des armes de petit calibre pour équiper la police et la gendarmerie.
There was a time when taking gold out of the US Federal Reserve was only for Hollywood to suggest.
Fort Knox. Ha! It's for tourists.
And Bruce Willis to stop. But the financial crisis in Europe saw Germany decide it wanted to bring home a significant chunk of the precious metal from the United States. Despite the aim to ship 300 tons to Frankfurt by 2020, so far they've only managed to bring back just over 10% of that.
The Americans are taking good care of our gold. We have no reasons for mistrust.
Not so, say critics of the slow progress. The $635 billion of gold in US vaults has never been fully inspected by Germany.
Why we haven't been allowed to inspect this escapes me. I'm no conspiracy theories, but the Bundesbank should be able to audit the gold once a year like it does with the reserves in Frankfurt.
The lack of inspection has led some to question if it's still there.
Even after at least one decade of asking Buba, Bundesbank and the Fed, there is still no shred of evidence that the German gold is untouched in the New York Fed's vaults. We are still missing, for example, published gold bar number lists, even though the US, the Federal Reserve, does publish these lists for their own gold.
Germany has the world's second largest gold reserves, worth $141 billion. Currently 45% of that is stored in New York, 13% in London, 11% in Paris, although the 374 tons in France is set to be all returned to Germany. The rest is in the Bundesbank vaults in Frankfurt. Anyone questioning the safety of the gold reserves have been laughed off as conspiracy theorists by those in charge. They say it's solid financial management.
The Bundesbank maintain that their plan is on track. However, they do face a potential logistical headache as they try and return almost 700 tons of gold from New York and Paris back here to Germany safe and sound by the 2020 deadline. Peter Oliver, RT, Berlin.